Originally, I was going to put up a podcast about the extension of the end of the old Naira notes and the transition of the new Naira notes going forward only, which has been extended to next Tuesday, February 12th, I believe. But something else popped up that I thought was a lot more significant. And it's something my eldest daughter, brought up on our drive to school this morning. And she was mentioning, I'm not sure how it came up. I think it was something on NPR dealing with Africa and then country in Africa. I can't remember what. But anyway, the conversation pivoted to how they were having an exercise in their class, whereas the students are in a circle and one student tosses an object to another, and the tosser asked them to mention 3 things of a particular category, and I believe her question was to the person she threw it to, name 3 countries in Africa. And she mentioned that the person she threw the object to didn't even try and essentially just passed to the next person. And then she thought, wow, it's not that difficult given so many countries in Africa. And then we had a conversation and I told her, well, you have the benefit of being from there and also having traveled internationally, and you grew up in an environment where your parents and relatives are knowledgeable of those things and share that information. So we have a lot of maps in the house. I kind of collect maps and globes, things of that nature. So I have a huge topographic map of Africa from National Geographic I got from my wife's godfather many years ago, and I still have it. And I also have a map of the world, a less defined map, but it has all of the continents and countries at the very least on there. So it's a paper map of the whole planet. And finally, I have a jigsaw puzzle globe I got us in a Christmas grab about a decade or so ago. Plus, I have a bunch of travel guides of places I've been and places I want to go to. A lot of those Lonely Planet and those type of guides. So I have a lot of these items. And so that's a way of saying that there's context for all of this. And so I understood where she was coming from. However, I explained to her that not everybody has that privilege, opportunity, or education of all of the different geographies of the world. If they're lucky, they learn about the U.S. 50 states and their capitals. They don't talk about Mexico, they don't talk about Canada. I know, for one, I never got that education in school in the United States, and I was in school in the United States from middle school, essentially after primary school, class 5 in Nigeria. In contrast, in Nigeria, I got a very deep course in geography, not only countries, states, names in and outside of Nigeria, but also specifically within Nigeria, some of the flora and the fauna of the region, why it was that way, what was grown there, what was mined there in terms of what natural resources and minerals, what type of animals grazed there and lived there and thrived there, and a little bit of the peoples in those areas. So I got a really robust geographical education in Nigeria and in the United States to a certain extent for the era of which I was in elementary school, which is the mid to late 80s. And so I explained to her that for her generation, that's just non-existent. There was a change, I told her, probably just before she was born, where there was more of an emphasis on math and science and less on arts, civics, liberal arts, what they call liberal arts now. It was more kind of the STEM stuff because there were concerns, based on, hard data that students in the United States just didn't have the strength and the depth of the hard math and sciences and whatnot as Japan, China, Russia, and what have you. And so it was deemed essentially a matter of national security, to be honest with you. So that's where that, I told her that's where that came from. But I told her to use these occurrences as learning opportunities for them and teaching opportunities for you, because you don't know what you don't know. And so we'll see how that goes, because that's what I do as well. I know a lot of Nigerians get very angry when people say, oh, you're from Africa versus you're from Nigeria. And I know that has to do with a lot of the marketing in the United States in terms of news where information is generally broadcast from. Africa is seen as and dealt with as just one state with no individuality, and that's been historically the case. And so I always take it upon myself to, educate people when the opportunity comes. Another thing she mentioned that was interesting is that she actually went ahead and asked them, okay, where other countries? She just mentioned questions like Haiti, and, somebody thought that was in Africa. And so, again, these aren't unintelligent young people. It's just they don't have the exposure, because what they take in from what the media puts out is that everybody that's not Black America is just pretty much in Africa. Everybody's from Africa. Everybody Black is from Africa. And, on a epochal level, over thousands of, tens of thousands of years, sure. But in terms of the micro level, that's certainly not the case. But there isn't that really in-depth education in general, the way there is for math or science. And so it's something that unless they as students pursue those avenues in post-secondary education, or on their own, they're likely to get it. So let me know what you think about all of this. How did you learn about geography? Did you learn about geography? What geography were you taught? And what did you think about it? Or did you take it upon yourself to learn either through school or on your own edification about the different geographies in the world? Let us know in the comment below. Thank you.